Work with your insurance company, saving you time. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
J&J Truck and Auto Body, 100% guaranteed.
So why do teenagers play high school sports?
My reason why is a sense of purpose.
My reason why is love for the game.
My reason why is to inspire others.
One reason student athletes seldom mention is to get an athletic scholarship. They know that only 2% of all high school athletes are awarded a sports scholarship, and most of those are worth far less than the cost of tuition. So, why do they play?
My reason why is commitment.
My reason why is friendship.
A sense of purpose, love for the game, to help others, friendship. There are lots of great reasons to play high school sports and to participate in other high school activities like cheerleading, debate, and music. Tell us your reason using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy.
This message presented by the NFHS and the South Dakota High School Activities Association.
At Dakota Bank, we're more than just a place to bank. We're your neighbors. From everyday banking to home mortgages, insurance, and trust services, we're here for every step of your financial journey. We believe in doing what's right for you because we live here, work here, and care about our communities just like you do. Go with confidence, go with trust, go with Dakota Bank. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Insurance and investment products are not FDIC insured, may lose value, and have no bank guarantee.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports Rapid City.
And here's what you need to know.
Speaking at the Union's Super Bowl Week News Conference, NFLPA Interim Executive Director David White says his union's membership has, quote, no appetite for an 18th NFL regular season game at this time, in spite of a major push from the league to go to 18 games. College Football Playoff Executive Director Rich Clark told ESPN the playoff will not host a game on New Year's Eve in the 2026 season in order to avoid playing at the same time as the NFL's Thursday night game, and said the quarterfinals will be held on Wednesday, December 30th, 2026, and a triple header on January 1st. In the NBA, major moves around before the trade deadline. The Chicago Bulls trading Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick to the Boston Celtics in exchange for Anthony Simons and Boston's second-round pick. The Pistons, Bulls, and Timberwolves working on a three-way trade that'll send Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley to Chicago. I'm Chris.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, great interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in. Good Tuesday afternoon. Welcome back. South Dakota Sports Talk Show ready to go. We are live on Fox Sports Radio across the state. KWSN Sioux Falls. Welcome in. Fox Sports Rapid City. Staying with me. It's always a great day in South Dakota. Let's go. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live. Also streaming right now on X. Follow the show and watch us live at Nate Brown Show. We are on X right now. Get us up on your app and watch the show live on your phone. If you can't catch all 2 hours on the radio, we're on X anywhere at Nate Brown Show on X. YouTube channel is live right now, The Nate Brown Show. Get on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. You've got every show live and archived. The Nate Brown Show YouTube channel. You've got us. And Midwest Sports Plus. Welcome in on the new high school sports streaming app, Midwest Sports Plus. Download the new app. Watch live games and the Nate Brown Show every afternoon. Got you covered tonight. Good stuff across the board. Let's get after it. We're going to have another live report from the Super Bowl. So we got that coming up. Eric Williams is going to join us, national NFL writer for FoxSports.com. He is in Santa Clara. How did media night go last night? I don't know how these guys get in there. How do these media guys get in there? Guys and gals, they ask the dumbest stuff. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I was watching some of the highlights of media night, and they are just absolutely, it's just goofy. Somebody asked Mike Vrabel last night, is this a must-win game? What are we doing? How do we not let real media in this thing? But nonetheless, Eric Williams was there, FoxSports.com. He is a real media member. He's on tonight from the Super Bowl. He just wrote a big piece on the Seahawks and how they built this thing up with their GM Schneider. Eric Williams coming up from Fox Sports. We'll stay here in South Dakota, go to the legendary Mike Henriksen, South Dakota sports broadcaster. Mike Henriksen's on tonight from Sioux Falls, and we'll go to Mike Golick Jr. It's a double Mike hour. Double Mike Hour on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Mike Golick Jr., national host of Golick and Golick with his dad. We'll talk Super Bowl and more. He's on FanDuel every afternoon. And Mike Golick Jr. joining us tonight on the Nate Brown Show. So welcome in wherever you're at tonight. If you want in, we'll try and get you on. 605-720-1067. 605-720-1067. That's our number. It's the Pizza Ranch Studio Hotline. Powered by the Pizza Ranch. Stop by the best buffet. You know it. Everyone's favorite buffet is at the Pizza Ranch. A location in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Locally owned and operated Pizza Ranch. Barron's Wilson text line is open. I've got it pulled up. Your texts come right into the app here, into the show. We'll read those out. 605-720-1067. Text the show directly. Be a part of the conversation on the Nate Brown Show there on the text line. 605-720-1067. What do we got cooking today on a Tuesday? Well, let's start in South Dakota. I want to ask a question of how we could look differently at things. I know we always do this things the same way, and this is how we've done it. This is what we're going to do, and maybe we could think outside the box a little bit. So, what am I talking about? Well, tomorrow. And we'll be covering this on the show tomorrow, but tomorrow there's a basketball advisory meeting. I've been talking about it quite a bit over the past week because of the new proposals that are being thrown out at the basketball meeting tomorrow. So leave it to us. Matt Kearney's going to be on this thing early. Producer of the Nate Brown Show, he's good to go. So Matt Kearney's going to be covering this basketball meeting tomorrow. And there's interesting proposals, and I'm not going to go over a ton of those again. I've given my opinion on the proposals that are out there in various topics. So we'll get to that tomorrow and see how the discussion goes with the advisory meeting and the members at that meeting. But I do want to focus on a process of how things go in South Dakota high school sports and governing South Dakota high school sports. So let's just say tomorrow that they adopt one of these proposals. So I'm kind of taking you through the process. Why is this interesting? Why do you care? Well, here's how it goes. So tomorrow, one of the proposals is let's pull one out. We're going to make the coaches report stats and make it a mandatory thing because in South Dakota we have this new system. It's called Go Bound. You can see all the rosters and the teams and stuff, and the coaches can put in stats really easy. That's what they tell me, coaches. That it's real easy. You can put the stats in. So then Jimmy and me and all of us, we can look at the stats and stay up to speed on high school basketball. And so that's one of the proposals tomorrow is make the coaches report the stats into Go Bound, and it's a mandatory thing. And then there is going to be punishment if they miss it. Like the first time they get an email, the second time it's another warning. The third time not reporting stats, this proposal would say you get suspended for the postseason and for the state tournament. So that's one of the proposals at this South Dakota basketball meeting tomorrow. I've already told you how I feel. I want the stats. I think suspending a coach for the postseason after a third violation, I don't love it. But let's hope we don't get there. Let's just hope we don't get that serious. So let's see what the discussion is tomorrow. But let's say the basketball meeting approved that tomorrow. Okay, walk with me on this. So that would then go to the ADs of South Dakota. So these basketball meetings, football, whatever sport you want to, they each have their advisory meeting, and they bring these new rules or new plans up, and then they vote them up or down. So if the basketball meeting tomorrow, if the advisory committee says, we want to make this mandatory, coaches should report stats, then it's not just in the law. It has to go to the South Dakota ADs, and then the ADs get to vote yay or nay. So this is not an end-all, be-all tomorrow. For example, if you say coaches need to report stats, it will go to the ADs for a vote. What's my point in this discussion? Well, you've heard me talk about the success factor in moving teams up and down in South Dakota high school football specifically. to ramp up competition, to ramp up struggling programs, to make sure there's access to football teams and programs stay alive and stay competitive, and there's better scheduling and better games and better budgets so you don't have to travel all over the place. So I've went over all this for football. Here's what doesn't happen on that big scale. Why don't we allow the ADs in a certain class, in a classification, to vote? Hey, maybe the Class A ADs would say, you know, the Douglas Patriots, they wanted to move down. I don't see a problem with it. Let's vote, and let's send it out to the Class A, 11A ADs. Why wouldn't they be able to vote? Yeah, we'll allow the Douglas Patriots to move down. Just something we were talking about here is we have these systems in place where ADs vote on stuff, the ADs in the schools across South Dakota, and then you take the popular vote and you say, hey, the ADs approved this basketball rule of coaches going to do stats mandatory. And if the ADs vote for it, then it goes through, goes up to the board, and they rarely go against the ADs. They rarely go against that. Okay, so then it goes through. Why don't we have the system in place where maybe schools can vote, ADs can vote on whether teams go up or down? It seems like we have certain processes in place where, hey, we'll send this out to the ADs, we'll have them discuss it. It's through our basketball meeting or our football meeting, and then we'll see how they vote on it. But when it comes to big issues like a program that wants to move down, and I mentioned Douglas, there was another one like Mount Vernon Plankinton. They said they wanted to move down. Sioux Falls Lutheran is a brand new program. They want to stay in 9B. They asked to stay in 9B, and they were denied that request. So when I think about this, I say, why don't we send this out to a vote? And I don't know if that's just one of those things. Well, then it would be it'd be too difficult, and then you'd bring in, you'd have to get the vote, you'd have to get the ADs. Why not? This way, what happens in South Dakota on a request deal, you just go to the board, and it's decided by a board of directors. And the board of directors is fine. It's nothing against the board of directors. I'm fine with it. Why don't we have the schools in the certain classes tell us whether they want teams in the class or not teams in the class? And maybe they'd vote the same way. Douglas wants to move down into 11A. Maybe the 11A schools would say, I don't think so. But I think Douglas would feel a lot better than, hey, we had the schools vote, we're looking at it, this is how it's going to go, rather than one appeal, the board votes, it's done, and then you got to go through the process of trying to figure out how to do this differently. And so I'm going to ask you that question of the day in South Dakota high school sports tonight. So, for example, we let the ADs vote on a bunch of stuff, but we don't let the schools vote on if they accept teams to move down or up. We solely, again, what is it all based on? Solely the size of the school, the enrollment. That's all we base it on. That's it. There is no other thought process. We let ADs vote on a bunch of stuff, not on this. Say, here's your enrollment. This is where you're classified. That's it. What if we let the schools vote on where teams were classified? What if we let the schools do that? Because they're also trying to have private schools in big markets. Tomorrow at the basketball meeting, you'll hear this proposal. We'll discuss it on the show. They're trying to have private schools move up, like St. Thomas More, like Sioux Falls Christian, like Rapid City Christian. Hey, they should move up in basketball and play AA. That's just a recommendation. That's a proposal. But if it gets out of the basketball meeting tomorrow, that's actually going to go to the ADs for a discussion and vote. So we allow the ADs to vote on that, of something coming out of a meeting, but not on a proposal from a school that wants to move down or maybe move up. I just say, why not open it up to the schools? It's not a bad idea, in my opinion. What do you say? 605-720-1067. What's your take on this? Let's say a school has a request to go down a class or maybe up a class. Let's just say down a class. That's usually what happens. Hey, we're not competitive. We're struggling. Our numbers aren't good. The whole thing. We want to move down a class. Do you think that type of request should be voted on by the school ADs not just the board of directors. And I know there's logistics. Well, if we let the schools vote on it, what would happen? Teams would move down, and then we wouldn't have enough teams in this class. I mean, let's just solve that later. I think, why do we let the schools vote on some stuff and not on big requests like schools trying to get a classification? Would you let the schools vote on that? By the way, I had a listener text coming in. I want to find this one, 605-720-1067. Listener text sent this in, as a matter of fact. They sent this in and said, hang on, why don't we just let the ADs vote on whether they want Douglas in their class or not? Why don't we let the ADs in that class decide, hey, it's not a big deal to us. We'll let this program play, right? And then I guess you could say, would the AA schools vote, or would the Class A schools vote to move up Rapid City Christian, Sioux Falls Christian, like in basketball? Well, they might if this proposal is adopted tomorrow at the basketball meeting. It's very interesting. Let's see. Yes, I would like schools to be able to vote on this. Listener text coming in. So 605-720-1067. I would like the schools to vote on classifications. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's feasible or not. This has been decided by the board, and that's the only place it's gone. The schools have not voted on allowing schools to move down. It's just a thought that I've had. Let's see. Here's a listener text coming in, 605-720-1067. Send them in if you would want the schools to vote on classifications. We let the board decide it now. They decide who's where. Appeal process goes to the board. They say yes or no. That happened last week. Listener text. Nate, this is about deniability. The committee is the gatekeeper and can take all the heat. The local ADs at the schools don't want more headaches. Well, here's the thing. They can keep their vote anonymous, I think. I don't think you have to go like on record, like, hey, I'm the AD at this school and this is my vote. These AD votes, when they get together, they're all, it's up or down, and it's not like everybody gets called out. Why not let the schools vote on classification? Well, part of it is it's just not the process. We only use enrollment, and that's where we hit the brick wall. The enrollment piece is not the factor of how good football teams are. I've said that for a long time. New idea. Let the schools vote. What would you say? What's our poll say, by the way? Let's grab this right now. Would you let the schools vote on if a team could move up or down in South Dakota high school football? 61% of you say yes. Let the schools vote. 39% of you say no. Keep it to the board. Keep it to the board. Let's see. Lister text. I would go with the school's AD. I would go with the school's AD vote. Okay, people are, you're open to it. You're open to it. Lister text, they do show which schools vote on what sports advisory proposals. Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. So, tomorrow, basketball advisory meeting here in South Dakota. Matt Kearney is going to be on this. It'll be interesting to see, do any of these proposals get adopted? And the whole exercise today was, if one of them or two of them gets adopted, maybe they will, maybe they won't, that goes to the ADs then. And then the ADs get to say, hey, let's take this all the way to the top. And the board of directors usually approves what a majority says. So, if something like this were to happen for classifications, could you get a school's vote on allowing Douglas to move down, allowing Sioux Falls Lutheran to stay 9B? What would they say about Hamlin? I mean, all of that stuff. Should schools vote on classification is the question of the day, or you just keep it up to the board denying or approving where schools land only based on enrollment? New idea, schools vote. What do you say? 605-720-1067 on the text line. We'll start with Mike Golick Jr. as we just get going tonight. He's next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
This Valentine's Day, create a space that feels warm and welcoming with help from Menards. Whether it's a small refresh or a big project, Menards has the tools and materials you need. Build something together and make your home a place you both love coming back to. Don't forget the sweets for your sweetheart. Get a 6-ounce bag of Russell Stover chocolate candies for $3.99 now through February 14th. Save big money and finish your projects together at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
The following radio ad is Good Fun Squad approved.
Hey, I'm Dylan, and I'm a South Dakota Lottery intern. I've learned some pretty cool things here at the lottery. Like, did you know 100% of the money we make goes back to the state, including millions every year for education? That's awesome, right? I also learned there's a machine for making your own coffee. Who knew? Anyway, learn more about where South Dakota Lottery money goes at goodfunsd.com.
Good fun.
Must be 18 or older to play. Please play responsibly.
Shop the Stock Show sale at Trav's Outfitter. Get $100 off Cowtown full quill ostrich boots. Receive a free piece of jewelry with any ladies purchase and score muck chore boots for just $89.99. From the ranch to downtown, we've got you covered. Find us at 413 North Campbell Street in Rapid City, the old Kmart building. Trav's Outfitter, best selection, best service, no BS.
Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet buys cars. You heard that right. We don't just sell cars, we buy them too. We make cash offers to purchase local cars, trucks, and SUVs every day. Tired of listing online? Tired of messages? Or just tired of making payments? Whatever the reason, make an appointment at rapidchevrolet.com for a no-obligation appraisal. It's fast and free. When you're ready to sell, we're ready to buy. At Danny Manholt Rapid Chevrolet, Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Slight chance of rain this afternoon, otherwise sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Daytime highs approaching 50. Winds out of the northwest 10 to 20 miles per hour. Lows dip down to about 27. Tonight, mainly clear skies. Highs level off around 54. Tomorrow, mainly clear skies. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently 43.
Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is everywhere you need us to be. On the sidelines, supporting our local athletes, at our clinic locations throughout the region, and at our Ortho Express walk-in clinic when you don't have time to wait. We're here when you need us, working as a team to make your comeback stronger than ever. Getting stronger, getting better, getting you back to your best self. The life of an athlete has its uncertainties, wins and losses, injury and recovery. In the Black Hills area, athletes can always count on Monument Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, here for whatever moves you.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger? Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
All right, getting going on a Tuesday. The Nate Brown Show is live, Fox Sports Radio across South Dakota. We call it South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Welcome in. Thanks for making the show possible. We appreciate it. We'll go out to the Super Bowl live, coming up with Eric Williams, NFL writer, foxsports.com. He's out there, Santa Clara. Mike Hendrickson's in tonight. It's a double Mike hitter. Mike Hendrickson from South Dakota coming up. And Mike Golick Jr. is on to kick us off. His show is Golick and Golick on FanDuel. He'll be heading out to the Super Bowl later this week. And he's here on the Nate Brown Show. Mike, welcome in, man. How are you?
Doing well, Nate. Good to talk to you.
I appreciate your time. So I want to talk Super Bowl and the whole thing. Also want to get into a little bit of college, the college landscape, and see where we stand. So let's go with this college story first. I just want your take. So it's getting political, and senators are talking that some don't want college athletes to become employees because it's going to ruin the rest of the Olympic sports and the non-revenue generating sports. So some people are saying that on Capitol Hill, and then others are saying, well, no, that's the only way this is going to be able to get done is make college athletes employees. How's this going to be settled, do you think? It just keeps on going.
Yeah, it certainly does. I'm not really sure how it gets settled because I have always kind of doubted anyone in Congress or on Capitol Hill's ability to actually influence this in a way that matters. It sounds good. It ends up being a lot of the bluster and fodder and ultimately gives way to understandably far more important issues that are facing this country that I hope they're taking pretty seriously. I think in this case it's tough. I generally think a lot of the doomsday talk over what will happen to Olympic sports tends to be kind of them trying to throw people off the scent of just putting away something that they don't fully understand or want. Like, you listen to any coach in the high Division I levels talk about this, and they all want it. Every coach I've talked to and heard from has all said, we need to just collectively bargain this. It would help them get a better handle on how things go. And I've always taken credence from people that do a lot of good reporting on this. Matt Brown at the Extra Points newsletter does a phenomenal job. And as he often points out, like, there are plenty of levels of athletics in college that don't operate with nearly the same budget that still find a way to sponsor plenty of sports and do it successfully so. And so I've always kind of bristled at the notion that the way we are continuing to professionalize college athletics at the highest level will necessarily mean the end for Olympic athletics and the way that those sports function.
Mike Golic Jr. on tonight. Senator Ted Cruz said they can't become employees. Other people have said they need to become employees, and so the NCAA legislation continues to work its way through, and there's a lawsuit out there right now, and Senate Commerce Committee's trying to tackle it. It's going to be continued back and forth. It's wild. So I want one more on the college football side. So college football playoff just decided we're not going to put games on New Year's Eve. They're going to go January 30th, and I should say December 30th, and then New Year's Day triple header. They don't want to go up against the NFL. They don't want New Year's Eve. What say you?
I'm fine with that. My big problem is the next time they play games after that's 2 weeks later. It's insane that we have 2 weeks between the quarterfinals and semifinals of the playoff. I don't understand why we're taking these long breaks. I don't understand why we're playing the championship game next year, like January 25th. Or something crazy like that. Like, everyone who said it, we need to reorg the calendar is right, and we need to accordion this. We need to shrink it a little bit. The season probably needs to be over by Jan 1. I think that's probably the right way to do this if you're trying to maximize what you get then in the off season after that. Make that part of the calendar a little bit more appealing for people. But I have no problem with them saying, hey, you know what, as much as we love college football, you're not going to win that battle against the NFL in terms of trying to capture the most eyeballs. So that's fine by me, but it's asinine that we're waiting 2 weeks to play that game after, and I don't understand that.
Okay, I do want to. You said we can get this done by January 1st. You think they can do that?
I think so. I mean, I've heard people lay it out. Josh Pate over at his show laid out, you know, what a lot of people have talked about. You move things back to week 0 so that the entire season starts at that point. And then you just stop having multi-week gaps in between the end of the regular season, each of these postseason games, play them all one after another. You're going to have to maybe find ways to account for the physical toll that's going to take, because that's one thing I don't discount. These players have not gone through seasons of this length until these last couple of years, and you'd certainly be asking them to do that with a little more wear and tear and a little less rest. But at this point, unless you want to have that conversation at large about, hey, the dangers of continued postseason expansion when it comes to adding more games to these guys without a collectively bargained way for them to benefit as well, i.e. the NFL, where, hey, they can talk about adding 18 games, but you're going to have to come and run them their money. They get about half that in the league revenue split, and so that means their value would go up if the league's making more money off those games. It doesn't work like that in college football. Yeah, they're getting paid now, but it's not in direct correlation with all the benefit that they'd be seeing from adding games at that time of year. Maybe you could argue with the rev share stuff from the House settlement that starts to creep in, but I still look at that as an issue. But if we're going to draw this up purely as what does the calendar need to look like, then yeah, I think there's a way of taking some of the air and gaps out of this space right now that we've created and just siphoning those down so that ultimately we get to a football calendar that can be done before the new year.
Mike Golic Jr. joining us tonight. His show is Golic and Golic on FanDuel. Find him on X at Mike Golic Jr. He's going to the Super Bowl later this week. Okay, give me a read on the Super Bowl, the atmosphere. People have talked about this is pricing out people. Radio Row's not what it used to be. What's the Super Bowl like in 2026?
Well, I mean, I think I don't even know if it's a dirty little secret. Like the Super Bowl's always been more of a corporate event in terms of who can go and be there. It's always been an event that, because the NFL is king, because this game is usually the highest rated broadcast every year, like it's pretty impossible for normal people to get in, normal fans, and it's certainly tough. I think a lot of the decisions made around modern sports aren't done with the fan in mind, which is a shame, but the Super Bowl is certainly another iteration of that. That being said, and I can't speak yet to this year's Radio Row because I haven't been out there, but having been to the last number of them in the decade that I've been covering sports, it's still, I think, a scene that brings a lot of different people together. There's still usually a lot of good fan service on site at a lot of these places. I think some cities are certainly better suited to that than others, but I think overall this is an event that is, like most other things in sports now, much more of a made-for-TV spectacle than it is the in-person spectacle. And while the in-person I don't think will ever suffer because the NFL is still ultimately our sport of choice, we know, and you hear this from the ambition of owners all the time as they talk now about trying to get more into the overseas market, playing more games in Europe and all these different other countries and continents. Like, they know this is tapped out, and they know right now the way they can reach more eyeballs is through the TV product, and then eventually making that TV product's way over abroad as well.
Okay, so San Francisco, Santa Clara is where it's at, open-air stadium. I just saw this stat that with some of these new stadiums coming online, then we're going to have more controlled environments than open-air stadiums. So the NFL's eventually going to have more climate-controlled venues than open-air. How should football be played?
So I think overall, like, this debate came up after the AFC Championship game with all that snow in the second half with the Patriots and Broncos. And, like, I think to a certain extent this is a sport where part of it has always been, and one of the differentiators from a lot of the other sports that get played is you got to find a way to build a team that's insulated from the weather circumstances, that can win in all these different phases, and that's part of the unique challenge of this violent chess match that we watch every weekend. At the same time, I do think when it comes to an event like the Super Bowl where, all right, we're trying to now crown the champion in the last game of the season. These guys have given up this whole swath of their life. They've put all this work into it. I do think that playing that in an environment that allows it to be not about the weather, not about its impact on the game, but about the football teams and them going out and executing at the highest level, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing when it comes to this game in particular. I know rain's in the forecast for this weekend, which is one thing. I don't think football in the championship level for the Super Bowl should ever be played in an atmosphere and an environment where snow could be a part of the equation. I don't think that's a reward for the teams involved, but especially when it comes to, hey, if you're playing for home field advantage, you want that advantage if you're Denver. You want that advantage if you're a team that's used to playing in cold weather. When it comes to the Super Bowl, I want everyone on even footing, and I want no excuses for what happens on the field.
Okay, we'll see if it rains, how much rain is going to move in. Mike Golick Jr. is heading out to the Super Bowl. What should we say about Drake May, Mike? Drake May getting the Super Bowl second year. Do you see this guy being no, this is a star? Like C.J. Stroud had a big run early. Some people think now he's like, well, I don't know about him. What do you say about Drake May?
I think Drake May proved a lot of people wrong who thought maybe he was a little more raw than he proved to be coming out, and certainly has performed well. You see a lot of the physical ability that we all knew was there, but I also think this is kind of a credit in a similar way to the C.J. Stroud conversation, but with a much more proven Shepherd in, hey, we got to give some love to Josh McDaniels. Not a great head coach based on the resume so far, but a guy who's been an excellent offensive coordinator, and I think was the exact bit of guardrails that Drake May needed early to help him now start to scratch the early bit of that full potential. And we'll see what Josh's future is, whether or not he wants another crack at head coaching, whether or not he'll get that. Certainly this kind of success is going to put you on people's radar, but I think provided you can keep them together, you've got a foundation in front of them, some young draft picks on that offensive line, headlined by Will Campbell, that are going to get to go grow with him. It's kind of like a baby getting a puppy at the same time. Everyone gets to grow up together. Everyone gets to go kind of at the same pace, and hopefully that creates an environment that is suitable to this being replicable even when the schedule gets harder in future years. But I've been super impressed with Drake May. I've been super impressed with the number of ways he can impact winning. Lately in the postseason, it's been with his legs. We know the shoulder was a concern until yesterday. And so overall, a remarkable season for a guy I thought pretty highly of coming out of college and is right now showing a lot of people why that was the case.
Do you think Sam Darnold is elite?
No, I think Sam Darnold's a very good quarterback. I think we get too hung up on the elite thing in sports sometimes. Like, I think he's a guy you can win a Super Bowl with, and especially when he's attached to a defense like this. There's like 5 elite guys in the NFL. We all know their names, and Sam Darnold's not one of them. But what Sam Darnold is a guy who persevered through a lot of things and is probably a better football player than he got credit for. But like so many, is going to be a victim of circumstance more often than not. Again, there aren't a lot of guys that can transcend circumstance in the NFL. Hell, Matthew Stafford, who's going to win the MVP, couldn't transcend circumstance in Detroit for all those years. So Sam's a great player. Elite, probably not.
Okay, last one. What do you say about the Vikings firing their GM? Now it's going to be Kevin O'Connell and J.J. McCarthy, I guess. What do you think about the Vikings and the call they made? Fired the GM. Some people think it was the Sam Darnold thing and some other things. Vikings leaving it up to Kevin O'Connell. They're not going to hire a GM until after the draft.
Yeah, and that, like, usually the GM cycles and how you fire people in those regards is kind of fascinating. I know a lot of people were concerned with the timing, and generally, though, you don't want to make those decisions as your scouting department's already been at work on the draft process. Everyone's kind of been doing the homework and will obviously do it in earnest even more in the combine and all these other pre-draft processes. But that, to me, not all that surprising. But the timing of this, to me, is interesting because they waited so long after the season. The decision, not all that surprising. Like, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah had not drafted well, had been able to paper over that with good free agent signings, and then made the wrong call at the ultimate position. And we can debate what Kevin O'Connell's role with that was. I know there's varying reports on his level of involvement in selecting J.J. McCarthy, in choosing to move on from Sam Darnold with that decision and hay already in the barn. But we know how this goes in this league. And kind of like we saw in Buffalo, ownership decided there. Brandon Beane wasn't at fault, and your head coach wasn't Sean McDermott, and so he's out of town. Similarly here, the Wilfs have decided, hey, Kevin O'Connell, we think he's pretty good at the thing that he does. And Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, who was a guy they went kind of outside of the fraternity to hire, we don't think as much, and we understand now the stakes have gotten higher. Kevin O'Connell couldn't paper over this mistake at quarterback in the eval, and I think how they handle that going forward now is going to be the most telling. Do they do what I think and a lot of other people think they should do? Bring in a veteran this offseason, make J.J. McCarthy go earn it if he's going to be your starter week 1 against someone who you know can play in this league, and then you got to kind of start to go from there because the rest of this roster and a lot of other places seems like it's ready for more than they got out of it this year, and it's their job to go and do right by the other 52 guys in that locker room this offseason.
What do you say about the game Sunday? Seahawks favored by 4.5.
I think that's right. I picked the Seahawks to win. I think stout on both sides of the line of scrimmage. Clint Kubiak, who is going to go on and be the Raiders head coach, has shown what we saw that first quarter of the season last year. I think people forgot how good the Saints were before all the injury robbed that offensive line and that team of their ability to go produce on a high level. He transposed that here in Seattle with an offensive line that added Gray Zabel, that had already been building to this point, and got the quarterback to click right opposite a defense that is a war machine. And you go look at what Mike McDonald had in Baltimore, how it looks there now that he left in conjunction with how quickly he's been able to recreate so many of the same parts of that defense in one that functions as one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL. And I just think that's too much for a Patriot team that, especially up front right now, it's been a struggle the last few games. Will Campbell hasn't been the same since that injury, and unfortunately, the path doesn't get easy here. He's faced some great guys, and he's going to again this weekend, and I think ultimately that's the difference.
Mike Golic Jr. getting us started tonight. His show is Golic and Golic. Watch him on FanDuel Sports Network. He's on X at Mike Golic Jr. Going to the Super Bowl this weekend. I appreciate you, man. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nate. Have a good one.
Mike Golic Jr. on tonight across South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Mike Golic Jr. on FanDuel Sports Network every afternoon with his dad. The show is called Golic and Golic. He takes the Seahawks. We'll make our picks officially on the Nate Brown Show this Thursday. I have a feeling you know which way I'm leaning, right? I haven't made my way yet to BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy, but I'll be making it. Gonna stop by the bank first. make sure we're good to go. Let's see here. I've got Mike Hendrickson coming up, South Dakota sports broadcaster, and a lot of South Dakota sports questions for him. Do you think we should let schools vote on where teams should be classified? That's something that does not go out to the schools. The ADs get to vote on a lot of stuff, not where teams get classified. Now, I'm starting to wonder on this. Is this a dangerous game? If we ever did this, is this a dangerous game to play? It's like the teams in 11 AA, the ADs, they'd get to vote if Pierre gets to move up. They'd be able to vote and say, hey, Pierre, you're going to move up to AAA. We going to play that game? Mike Hendrickson's coming up live.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
Doing it. Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields. We're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
This is The Nate Brown Show, also streaming live on YouTube. Subscribe to The Nate Brown Show on YouTube.
Hey, welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on a Tuesday on KWSN Sioux Falls and Fox Sports Rapid City across South Dakota. The Nate Brown Show live. Glad you're here. We'll go to the Super Bowl coming up next hour. Eric Williams, national NFL writer for Fox Sports. He wrote a big piece on how the Seahawks got back to the Super Bowl. And Schneider, the GM, and how this was all put together. Eric Williams coming up live from Santa Clara, Fox Sports NFL writer on tap. A lot to discuss tonight. Hey, why don't we bring in Mike Henriksen? He can discuss a lot. South Dakota sports broadcaster. You hear him on Calling All Sports. He'll pop in on that show. And he pops in on the Nate Brown Show every now and then. Mike, welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing well, Nate. I do have to ask, was that song the intro song by design? Because that's Don't Forget Me When I'm Gone.
Yeah.
And as a retired broadcaster, that feels very, very appropriate.
I did not mean to do that, but that's why you're on tonight. We do not forget you. You are on and ready. I've got some discussion points I want to have with you. A couple of things here. So I just thought of this as we started the show today. It's just a radical idea that I had. So we know how ADs here in the state, they get to vote on some of this stuff. If a basketball advisory meeting sends a proposal out and they say, hey, here's our proposal. We passed it at the advisory meeting. It goes to the ADs for a vote. So we allow the ADs to vote on stuff like that, and then that heads to the board, and they say yes or no. Usually they go with the ADs if it's a majority vote. Why could we ever let the ADs on an appeal to South Dakota high school activities like Douglas said, hey, we got to move down in football. We've only won one game in 5 years. We really need to move down. Why don't we let the ADs vote on something like that? That's not voted on. That's just sent to the board. Is that a wild idea?
No, I think it's a practical idea. And the thing is, Nate, where we are when it comes to, the High School Activities Association, et cetera, everything else has changed around it. And frankly, SDHSAA hasn't done a real good job, in my opinion, of necessarily changing. They're doing the best they can, don't get me wrong. But honestly, in that particular case, how's about if, say, Douglas went to the other schools around there? I can't remember if they're in the conference or not. If even you didn't have the statewide ADs dealing with it, have the local ADs deal with it and say, hey, we see a problem here. This is what we're in favor of or what we're against, and go from there. So it wouldn't have to be the statewide ADs, but just the folks that are going to be affected. Now, you can argue, well, maybe if they drop down, who knows, Douglas turns into a playoff team, then it affects a lot of people. Okay, well, then if that happens, then the following year go back and say, hey, we want to ask everybody. But I agree with you, Nate. I think that'd be a fine idea. Let the ADs, the guys that are doing the nuts and bolts on a regular basis, they're doing everything from, scheduling referees for junior high wrestling on up and more. So, yeah, I'm for that.
Okay, so I bring that up because tomorrow there's a basketball advisory meeting. They're going to talk about some interesting proposals. I won't go over every one of them, but for example, there's one in there from Britton Heckla, and they say, hey, we're a small community. We're in Class A, and we got to play teams that are really, really good, and they get to choose players from metro areas. And so they didn't point out which schools, but their proposal is let's have schools that are private schools in metro areas move up to AA. So that'd be Sioux Falls Christian. That would be St. Thomas More. That would be Rapid City Christian. Those are the big ones. They'd have them move up to AA. I don't know if it's going to get out of the advisory meeting tomorrow, Mike, but see, then it would go to the ADs for a vote. They would actually get to vote on moving those teams automatically to AA, and that seems like we don't allow that in football.
Right. That's an excellent point. Also, don't forget about Aberdeen Roncalli, Aberdeen Christian, which has gotten bigger as the years progress. It's not going to be too far down the road. You're going to have Sioux Falls Lutheran. They have added on to their high school. They're going to be getting bigger. Here's the thing, just a little bit of history on this. It wasn't until 1964, I believe, that private schools were even allowed to take part in activities for the South Dakota High School Activities Association. One of my books, Terry Slattery, who was an outstanding player at Salem St. Mary and then at STSU, he gives a nice history, actually, of what they used to call the Catholic tournament. They had their own high school tournaments in the past. And again, this was when, Mitchell had a Catholic high school, and Salem, Howard had a private school, Madison, an awful lot. And mostly back then, they were Catholic schools. And in a broader picture here, you look at the history of our country, and in the late 1800s through about the first half of the 1900s, Catholics were actually discriminated against in various ways. That was one of the reasons. You can say it was rules, you can say whatever, reasons people put on it, but that's why those schools weren't allowed to take part. And so once they were, certainly over the course of the years, take a look. O'Gorman has had an incredible run. St. Thomas More, incredible runs. But they come and go in general. And I think we have this tendency to overreact to what's going on now as opposed to what may happen in the future. Now, I'll take that one step further. As a Christian myself, it amazes me as I look at, say, Sioux Falls Christian, or we'll pick that one because that's in my neighborhood. As a Christian, it amazes me that they're looking at limiting their enrollment. If indeed the basis of the school is to provide a Christian education, and again, I don't care what the religion is, but if it's the idea is to provide a religious background, then why don't you want more students? Is it if you're turning down some kid who, say, wants to play in the orchestra and get a Christian education, and you're turning them down because taking that student means you would have to play T in sports, I think that may be a little bit screwed up on where it comes to as far as what your priorities actually are as a school.
I do want to ask you, do you think Rapid City Christian, Sioux Falls Christian, St. Thomas More, for example, do they have an advantage? People say, well, they have an advantage. They're in the metro area. I got to be honest, Mike. I've worked at a private school. I've seen the benefits, and then I've seen the other side where it's like, hey, there's public schools. It's open enrollment. Kids can go wherever they want to. I see kids transferring all the time, not just to the private schools.
You're absolutely right about that. And the difference is if a kid wants to transfer to a private school, they can turn him down for any reason, as in, gosh, his or her grades aren't good enough, they can't afford it, there are reasons that you can turn them down. That is not the case at a public school. If I open enroll at a public school, even if I'm a D student, they got to take me. And so consequently, that's where we get into some of that gray area about, being able to pick and choose. Yes, open enrollment helped from the standpoint that, again, if I want to go to a different school, and I'll go back and use the orchestra. Let's say there's some kid in Esterline that plays the violin, and obviously Esterline doesn't have an orchestra. Brookings does. Great. Open enroll, go play your instrument, etc. That's what that was all intended to do. I'm not sure that we've gotten to where that's what it's all about, but that's where we're at right now. So, yes, there are advantages. Kids are freer these days, but there are still some advantages for the private schools.
Mike Henrikson's on tonight, South Dakota sports broadcaster here on the Nate Brown Show. He's on X at Mike Henrikson. One more on a basketball proposal tomorrow. One proposal is to make the coaches report their stats into the GoBound system online. So Mike Henriksen can be eating his dinner and you can break down all the numbers across the state. And if the coaches don't report it the third time, they get suspended for the state tournament. What would you say?
I would say that's silly, especially with that proposal. That comes from a bunch of in my opinion, reporters who don't want to do their own work. And I think that Roger Tolan from the Rapid City Journal would be rolling in his grave. Thank heavens for Roger. For folks who don't know the history there, Roger was originally an accountant who took up sports writing, and he is the reason that we have most of the state records in this state, just simply because he was willing to compile it. And through the course of the years, we've had similar types of individuals that have stepped up to do that. But I think suspending someone to not be in the state tournament for not reporting their stats, we put enough on coaches. The other day we saw who was it got their 500th win.
Yeah, Coach Vincent, Sioux Valley.
Yeah, that's right. Bush Vincent. We put enough on coaches. That list, Nate, is not going to grow. That 500 list, there are very, very few coaches today that are ever going to see that. And it's not because of the fact they don't love it or whatever the case may be. Coaches aren't staying with it. It's because they're being pulled in so many different directions, and I think this is just another... the hammer is too big. If you want to do it, if you want to set up a system, that's fine. But to actually suspend somebody for the state tournament because it hasn't gotten done, or worse yet, because the freshman you put in charge of that hasn't gotten it done, that's bad.
All right. That's a proposal tomorrow. Iowa has put this into place, and it's the same kind of rules there in Iowa. And I got a text from a listener. He said, I'm from Iowa, and it's working fine. He said it's working fine.
Good for you, Iowa. Hat tip to Iowa coaches who found competent high school kids to do that, because I can guarantee you the majority of coaches aren't going to be the ones actually physically doing it.
Mike Henriksen popping in tonight. You'll hear him. Yes, he's on the Nate Brown Show tonight. He's on Calling All Sports, South Dakota sports broadcaster, long time, and some good history. Mike, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks a lot.
Nate, it's always a pleasure when you reach out anytime.
All right.
Continued success, my friend.
I appreciate you. Mike Henriksen popping in tonight. South Dakota sports broadcaster, covered the state championships for many years on SDPB. And, of course, hosted a sports talk show for a long time as well. For a long time. Oh, boy, Mike Henriksen. Spitting, man. He's spitting out some stuff. People are getting fired up. We're having... thought-provoking sports talk. Is that what we call this on the Nate Brown Show? By the way, speaking of coaches, he said, hey, we don't have enough coaches that are sticking around. Coach Vincent at Sioux Valley just hit win number 500. You know, we've had some of these legendary coaches. Hollenbeck, he's still in it at West Central. And Gary Munson, Coach Luchins, the legends from Custer and Mitchell. So there's this new study that's just came out. This is perfect. I'm gonna get into this next. New study just came out. Why do basketball, or I should say, youth sports coaches quit? This just came out. What's their top reason that youth sports coaches are quitting? Could you guess? Coming up.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
Does your home have a crawl space? When cold weather arrives, that can mean cold floors, frozen pipes, and higher energy bills. Protect your family and keep the cold air out this winter with Expert Crawl Space Sealing by Blackburn Basement Systems. Sealing keeps your crawl space clean, protects pipes, and insulates your home so floors are warmer and energy bills are lower. A sealed crawl space means a nicer home. Don't wait. Call Blackburn Basement Systems today.
Mom, can we please go to Watiki Indoor Water Park Resort?
Watiki? What's so special about it?
Are you kidding? It's got slides, fountains, a lazy river, everything. And it's just a short drive to Rapid City. If we stay at one of the hotels, we get water park passes for free.
Wow, you really did your homework. Okay, what do you say we pack our swimsuits and hit Waikiki this weekend?
Yes, best mom ever.
Unlock your adventure at WaikikiWaterpark.com.
Get ready for the biggest game of the year. The BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort has everything you need for this monumental matchup with the Big Game Experience. Reserve your seat today and guarantee you and your crew have a spot to watch the ultimate championship in football. The Big Game Experience comes with a game day buffet, special games and giveaways, and $25 free play in the casino. Let us host your big game this year at the BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy Gaming Resort in Deadwood. Learn more at tinlizzy.com.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. 27 tonight, under mainly clear skies, northwest winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. 54 tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, lows dip down to about 40. Bright sunshine and dry Thursday and Friday, upper 60s, Thursday, upper 50s by Friday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently 42.
Collins Siding has been the region's premier window siding, door, and gutter installation specialist since 1974. They use only the highest quality materials and never compromise on their workmanship. Collins Siding is licensed, bonded, and their estimates always include labor, materials, and applicable permits and taxes. Collins Siding has been providing top quality service and exceeding high standards for over 45 years, and you can find out how by visiting them at 2016 Cherry Avenue. Collins Siding, 2016 Cherry Avenue, Rapid City.
Attention sports parents and ballers of all ages, Rapid City has a new sports facility that you have to check out. E3 Sports Complex on East North Street, featuring 4 full courts for basketball and volleyball. E3 Sports Complex is here to serve the community and wants all athletes of any age to come and experience expert training, coaching, and the opportunity to unlock your athletic potential. Memberships are available now. Come to play at E3 Sports Complex. Learn more at e3sports.org.
As a rancher in western South Dakota, you know the meaning of hard work. From working cattle to working in the field, you know that the job begins before dawn and can last into the night. You also know that at the end of the day, it's more than just work. It's a way of life. When it comes to banking, you need a bank that values your time and is committed to your growth. Don't settle. Pioneer. Pioneer Bank and Trust. Local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Your sports, your show. From East River to West River, this is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown Show.
Welcome back. The Nate Brown Show is live. Fox Sports Radio, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, from high school to college to the pros. Trying to get you covered tonight. Some great guests. Mike Golick Jr. got us going, talking Super Bowl. Mike Henriksen popping in, South Dakota sports broadcaster from Sioux Falls. Eric Williams coming up from Santa Clara. We'll go live to the Super Bowl. Eric Williams is there, NFL writer, foxsports.com. He is on tap. Hey, the stock show is going on, and Trav's Outfitter in Rapid City is your stock show headquarters. Second biggest event in South Dakota every year is the Black Hills Stock Show, and Trav's is ready, here to build a relationship before they sell you a pair of boots. It's not about a quick sale. It's not commission-style push. It's about getting it right. So you know Trav's Outfitter, the experts in work and Western footwear, kind of place you go back to when it's time for the next pair. So remember, when it comes to work boots, Western boots, they've got them all. Great selection, great service, family-owned South Dakota store. Independent and proud of it. It's Trav's Outfitter. Best selection, best service, no BS. Try them out. Campbell Street, Rapid City. Online at travsoutfitter.com. Some listener texts coming in on the basketball advisory meeting tomorrow. We'll be covering this here on the program and some of these proposals out there. One of the big ones is thinking about moving up some of the private schools in the big metro areas to AA basketball. There's a basketball advisory meeting tomorrow. There's a proposal to move up these teams because they're in metro areas. Sioux Falls Christian, Rapid City Christian, St. Thomas More, move them up to AA. I'm against it. I've talked about that. Listener text coming in. These same schools that are complaining about Sioux Falls Christian complained about T. It's the same story, just a different school. All right. We'll see how that goes tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. How about this really quick before we get into the next hour here? So there's this story out there. There's this study that was done, and I thought this is interesting. This study was done by the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, and they wanted to ask, how are coaches feeling? How are youth sports coaches doing? What is the biggest complaint? What is the biggest problem? So here's what they found out this week. This is youth sports coaches, basketball, all of the sports. Over 35,000 respondents. So here it is. Most of America's youth sports coaches are feeling burned out and fed up with verbal harassment and abuse. Oh, I thought we were going to have a nice, hey, everybody's having fun, right? Little Jimmy's out there. He's going to be a star. You don't know yet, but he's going to be a college player. Hey, wait. I thought we were all just having fun. We're all developing. We're getting better, right? So I'm a youth sport coach. I'm almost retired. Some people wish I would have retired earlier, but I stuck with it. We're battling. We're grinding. We're developing. And this is what this survey says. The challenge of managing parents ranks as the top reason coaches have considered leaving or decided to quit. Oh, boy. One coach is quoted in this study today as saying, quote, they created tension. They instilled distrust. They were worse than the kids. Boy, this is harsh stuff here. I thought we were going to get some good stuff here. More than 40% of the respondents cited unruly parents at sporting events as the biggest impediment to their job satisfaction. Oh, man. I know things. I understand things can get a little wound up, but you got to take that one there and say, okay, hang on a second. What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? I think there's some folks that are doing things right. I hope people take a step back and say, this isn't about just winning 3 games in a tournament on a weekend. We got to win 3 games and then we win the title, and everybody's going to remember that they aren't. So I think if you just take a step back, do we have a good team environment? Is your child learning the game? Are they getting developed? Are they doing things right? Okay, there's some bad environments, but I hope you can understand that a lot of coaches are doing it just to help out. I didn't do this whenever I started years ago. For what? I just did it because I knew my daughter wanted to play basketball, so I put a team together and tried to help kids learn the game. It wasn't about trying to make one person a star, trying to make, you're going to be the varsity star and the whole thing. Trying to develop kids and have them learn lessons in basketball and in life. That's it. Yet we've turned it into a fiasco. There's folks that run great tournaments. There's folks that all this stuff is great if it's done right. And I've seen it myself. Some parents are just over the top. I'm talking at games. I'm talking behind the back. It's just over the top. So that's not surprised here. The challenge of managing parents ranks as the top reason youth sports coaches have considered leaving or decided to quit. They say the challenge of managing parents ranks as the top reason. It's tough. It is tough. There's some great folks. I've interacted with some great folks. I've had some sneaky stuff. I've seen people at games go crazy. Not even at my games, but other people just go crazy. Just take a step back. This isn't the end-all, be-all. It's going to be okay. I have an older daughter now, and then I have still a younger one, but an older one, you kind of go through the whole thing. You're like, it turns out okay. As long as they, turn into, they're doing well, they're focused, they've learned some things in sport, they're having a good time. It does turn out okay most of the time. We're not all going to be D1. I know it feels like that, But you're not all going to be D1. I'm sorry to say. You're not only going to be college players. Sorry. Wow. I just lost 50% of my parent audience. They thought they were all going to be college players. Coming right back into the Nate Brown Show, I've got some things to discuss, namely a question about the Vikings quarterback. This is for Vikings fans. A big question for you next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
Are there as many kinds of vehicles as there are kinds of people? We think so. At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we help all kinds of people come together with all kinds of vehicles. With loans made to fit everyone and every ride.
To sustain an injury. Unfortunately, things happen in sport. If anybody ever does experience an ACL tear that results in needing surgery to fix that, it's important to have a therapist on your side who can help them through prehab, rehab, and then return to sport. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It takes a long time to get back to the field of sport, but it's not impossible to do it all by any means. So just having that end goal in mind can be really beneficial for the rehab process.
When it comes to ACLs and sports performance training and treatment, get started at elevateperformancesd.com.
This is the Nate Brown Show. From the biggest national names to the hottest stories across South Dakota. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
Ready to go. Welcome into the drive home on Fox Sports Radio. Hope you're out of work and into your evening on this Tuesday. The Nate Brown Show live and KWSN Sioux Falls. Thanks for being here. Fox Sports Rapid City. The Nate Brown Show built by Blackburn Foundation Repair. It is winter in South Dakota. That means the crawl space needs to stay dry. It can also make sure your home stays warm. Make sure everything's in good shape. Your air's clean. Your family's safe with Blackburn Foundation Repair. so you can focus on making sure your house is in good shape. Go to blackburnrepair.com. Blackburn Foundation Repair, protecting homes, protecting families, and offering radon testing right now. Local experts in South Dakota since 1992. Permanent fixes for your most important investment, your home. Start at blackburnrepair.com. Take your home off the injured list, blackburnrepair.com. Coming up, Eric Williams live from San Francisco tonight. We'll go to the Super Bowl. Eric Williams is in, national NFL writer for FoxSports.com. Get his read on the game. He's covered the Seahawks over the years. He's covered the NFC West. Seahawks, Patriots coming up. Eric Williams on the way from Fox Sports. If you want in on the show tonight, 605-720-1067. That's our number, 605-720-1067. Hit us on the Barons-Wilson text line if you can. We'll try and get you on the studio line if we can as well. So I just have a question for Vikings fans. This thing has been wound up the last couple of days. Everybody's trying to see who to blame and what to do, and everybody's having a fit over Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah getting fired. The GM gets fired. They're trying to determine who really screwed this up. Was it him? Did he want J.J. McCarthy? Was it Kevin O'Connell really wanted him? People are posting videos inside the draft from this past couple of years ago, and they're like, well, Kevin O'Connell wanted him too. This is the guy. Kevin wanted him. So who's really at fault? Hey, hang on a second. It's a collaboration. So it's a collaborative effort. We have to know this. And I know somebody ultimately makes the call, but how the Vikings did it and what I could see was Kevin O'Connell wanted J.J. McCarthy. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah sounded like he was fine with that. So they drafted J.J. McCarthy. And by the way, you Vikings fans, I don't want to pick on you. I love you guys. My brother's a great Vikings fan. You guys also wanted to pick a quarterback. You can't tell me that you did not a couple of years ago. You were done with Kirk Cousins. That was over. You were done. And I was the only guy left in South Dakota and the vice president of the Kirk Cousins fan club. And then our chapter just died. we didn't. The fan club disappeared. And nobody wanted Kirk Cousins. Nobody wanted anybody else. You wanted to draft a QB. So we go back 2 years. Everybody wanted to draft a QB, so they decided J.J. McCarthy. And you can have the debate now as McCarthy, man, why did we take him? He didn't throw a ton of passes at Michigan. He was a game manager, and they didn't have to throw passes. They just ran over everybody. But remember what we said. Athletic. He's a winner. He's a competitor. He's got this alter ego. He's unbelievable. He's going to be professional. He's dialed in. I mean, so there's all these reasons why the Vikings and everybody said J.J. McCarthy's going to be fine. The fact is it hasn't worked out as of yet. It just hasn't. He's played in 50% of the snaps. 50% of the snaps. Just the injuries are a killer, a major concern. The play when he's been in there is just not great because he hasn't played as much, so you can't really tell. And now people are like, I think Kevin O'Connell might bail on him. That's what people are discussing now in Minnesota Vikings world. Should Kevin O'Connell bail on J.J. McCarthy? So let me serve this up for the Vikings fans tonight. Couple of things for you guys. Would you bail on J.J. McCarthy, meaning go out and get somebody like Kyler Murray, make sure you got a real competition there. So you just like, hey, this isn't J.J. McCarthy's team. You can't surely go into 2026 and say there's going to be no competition for J.J., right? Because you can't just throw away some of the acquisitions that the Vikings have made, and they've tried building this competitive team. So you can't just roll with JJ, and that's it. So I understand you got to go with a competitive veteran or something. You got to do something there. I don't know who that is. Is it Mac Jones? I don't know. Kyler Murray. I'd give it a shot. Give it a shot. Let me ask you the question of the day. This is your chance to win a free buffet to the Pizza Ranch. Why not? Why not? The Pizza Ranch location, East 10th Street, Sioux Falls, and in Brandon. Your Pizza Ranch location with a free buffet tonight on the text line on the Nate Brown Show. We give away a buffet a day. Will this be a bust, or will J.J. McCarthy bounce back and be the Vikings QB in 2027. I'm not going this next year because they're going to roll with him this next year in a competition. I'm just asking you, are the Vikings going to be going down the road? Is this a bust, or is J.J. McCarthy bouncing back? How do you feel right now? Okay? That's what I'd like to know. 605-720-1067. Barron's Wilson text line. If you want a free buffet to the Pizza Ranch, you just answer the question of the day on the text line. We'll throw it in the drawing. We'll text you if you're our winner tonight on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. A buffet a day from the Pizza Ranch in Brandon and East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Do you think J.J. McCarthy will be the Vikings quarterback in 2027? This next year is going to be key. So I'm just trying to project here. What's your premonition? JJ's going to bounce back. You're going to be fine. This isn't going to be one of those bust stories. He's not going to be a bust. Or will he be a bust? How do you feel right now? This is going to be an interesting study in where the Vikings are at right now. 605-720-1067. Votes coming in. Which way is it going? Would you like to know on this February 3rd, dark winter day? 61% of the Vikings fans are voting JJ will ultimately be a bust. I was hoping you guys would be in a little better mood today. A little better mood. 61% say JJ is going to be a bust. 39% say he will bounce back and be the Vikings quarterback. He will bounce back and be the Vikings quarterback. 605-720-1067. You want to get in on the text line? Let's read a few. If JJ can't play a full season next year, the Vikings have to move on. Okay? I agree with that. Yeah, if he gets injured and stuff again, you're like, he's just not good enough to. You don't know if he's good enough, and he's hurt too much. We're out. So I agree with that. Listener text: how about I vote for a semi-bust? I think he will be playable, but not a franchise QB. Yeah, well, then you're going to have to figure something out. You can't just bring back a guy in 2027. You can't just bring back some guy. Listener text: I hope JJ's the QB. There are very few things in life better than the Vikings losing. Thank you for that. That was a nice play. Nice play. You said there's very few things in life better than the Vikings losing. So he wants JJ running the show. Listener text: JJ is going to be the Teddy Bridgewater for the Vikings. Hey, careful. We like Teddy. We liked Teddy in Minnesota. He was fine. Blair Walsh blew the kick, and Teddy went down in flames, okay? Listener text: Nate, I'm a Vikings fan. It was one thing drafting JJ 2 years ago when he was an average QB. It's another thing, which I had a problem with, is how Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and KOC just threw JJ out there without experience. I think the Vikings need a veteran next year to help him. Yeah? No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. This is the year. This is it. Will J.J. McCarthy survive and bring the Vikings back? It's going to be a big year for the Vikings. We didn't see enough. They ended up 9-8, but it was just a mess. So, you think he's going to be a bust, or will he be the Vikings franchise QB? 61% voting J.J. McCarthy will be a bust. A sad day for Vikings fans today. I'll ask Eric Williams this. He's an NFL writer for Fox Sports. He is live at the Super Bowl. Eric Williams coming up.
This is the Nate Brown.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one. So you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa, for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
Hard stops, endless red lights, and long idle times. They wear things down fast. Brakes, fluids, engine components, they all take a beating. That's where Al's D&I Repair in Rapid City comes in. We handle the maintenance that keeps your vehicle ready for whatever the city throws at it. Al's D&I, fixing it right since 77. Check in at Al's D&I on Sturgis Road and online at alsdniautorepair.com.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is South Dakota's sports talk show, The Nate Brown.
All right, thanks for being here tonight. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, Fox Sports Radio across the state, KWSN. Rapid City, The Nate Brown Show. Glad to have you on board. Mike Golick Jr. opening up the show tonight in the first hour. Always great to have Mike Golick Jr. He's heading out to the Super Bowl later this week. If you missed parts of the show, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. Every guest is there from South Dakota and beyond. We cover everything from high school to college to the pros, try and get you new stuff each time out. Go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. If you missed parts of the show, 2 hours there on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Search the Nate Brown Show, and then you've got the podcast anytime. Speaking of the Super Bowl, he's out there. He's ready. Santa Clara, Eric Williams, NFL writer for Fox Sports. Just wrote an interesting piece on John Schneider and how the Seahawks made it back to the Super Bowl. It's at foxsports.com. Eric, welcome in, man. How are you?
Hey, Nate. How you doing? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. I'm doing good. I'm excited for the game, and I want to get your take on this matchup, no doubt. First, let me bring you in on some Vikings stuff here. A lot of Vikings fans in South Dakota. They fired the general manager Friday. You know, people thought that was a little odd. It was kind of late. They've been done with the season for a while. Now they're not going to hire a GM until after the draft. So the scouts and Kevin O'Connell, these guys are going to kind of put this draft together. I'm going to talk about J.J. McCarthy. He's played 50% of the snaps since being drafted a couple of years ago. He's been hurt. And I'm wondering what you do with J.J. McCarthy. Do you think this is his last year of trying to be the guy?
Yeah, I think so. I think you bring in somebody to compete with him, similar to what the Colts did with Anthony Richardson, bringing in Daniel Jones, who, was actually in Minnesota before he went to the Colts. But I think he needs competition to kind of get him to play his best. Hopefully he can stay healthy. And I think if you're the Vikings, you hope that leads to him playing his best football and that, he develops into the answer for the franchise. But I think if you're the Vikings, you also need to have a contingency plan just based on everything that's happened up to this point with JJ.
You think the Vikings could maybe go and get a Mac Jones or a Kyler Murray? Is that in the realm?
I think Kyler would be too expensive. Although, maybe you could do something where the Cardinals are paying the majority of his salary, so it might make sense, kind of like, the Steelers with Russell Wilson, getting him with Denver paying a majority of his salary and kind of being a one-year rental. So I guess in that case, maybe it could make some sense. Maybe somebody like Mitchell Trubisky, who, in spot duty has played okay for the Bills when he's got an opportunity to play. I think in talking to people around the league, what they're looking at is how Darnold has kind of turned things around and really been an elite performer after bouncing around the league for, 7-8 years. He's figured it out. And so I think people around the league, if they need a quarterback, are looking at these reclamation projects and hoping they could find the next Sam Darnold. Whether it's Mac Jones, like you said, maybe it's Kyler Murray moving to another team and getting a change of scenery. Maybe it's somebody like Drew Lock, who's the backup quarterback for the Seahawks right now and has kind of bounced around a little bit, but has a lot of talent, and people keep bringing him in. But I think that's kind of what you're looking for, not paying, top of the market money, but maybe taking a flyer on some of these retreads and see if you can get them going.
Let me ask you about this. You wrote about the Seahawks and John Schneider. You had the interview with him. It's at foxsports.com. We're talking to Eric Williams live from the Super Bowl. You talked about how the Seahawks did this. My deal is how did they? It's like, hey, we're gonna take a shot on Sam Darnold. He went 14-3. Had two bad games at the end, and like Minnesota fans kind of bailed on him. Why do you think the Seahawks said, we're going to go with him, 3-year deal, here we go?
Well, I think it was a couple different things. Initially, they wanted to keep Geno, but Geno wanted more money than they wanted to pay him. And I always felt like the personnel department was kind of lukewarm on Geno, and maybe Carroll was more high on Geno than the personnel department at Seattle. So they decided to trade him to Las Vegas, where Carroll was. And then, Clint Kubiak was there, and obviously Clint coached Darnold in San Francisco, so he had a good relationship with him. And that's really what this business is all about when you're talking about bringing free agents in. You have more success if you bring in a person and you know that person. There's some familiarity there. It's one of the reasons that Lawrence worked, in signing him in free agency, because he had been with Aiden Durde, the defense coordinator for the Seahawks, and so there was a relationship there. And then they also traded for Rashid Shaheed, and Kubiak had coached Shaheed with the Saints when he was the offensive coordinator. So that's three big moves for the Seahawks that have paid big dividends for them. It's really helped propel them to where they're at right now, along with the last four drafts for Snyder, who's done a nice job. I think he's got 20 either starters or major contributors over the last four drafts. And again, that's kind of why they're at where they're at. And they're also one of the youngest teams in the league. So I don't think they're going anywhere for the next couple of years.
What do you think of Mike Macdonald? He doesn't get talked about much, but here he is, fresh coach, former D coordinator for the Ravens. What has he been able to do here to take the Seahawks to this next level?
I think he's done a great job of earning the players' trust with his work ethic and just authenticity, just being a straight shooter so guys can trust what he says and that he's going to stand behind what he says. He's really smart, obviously one of the best defensive coordinators in the league, so there's innovation, which gets guys motivated. And then I think, again, personal accountability. He doesn't know everything. So if he does screw up, he's willing to own up to it and say, hey, these are places where I can get better as a head coach. And so players know it's not just all on them. if they make a mistake, that the coach will back them up, and the coach will also own up to the mistakes that he's made. So he's done a great job of not only coaching the defense, but coaching the entire team and getting guys to play to their full potential and really giving guys motivation to play well going into postseason.
Eric Williams on tonight from Santa Clara, NFL writer, FoxSports.com, here on the Nate Brown Show. So I look at Sam Darnold. He's had great numbers. He had a great game against the Rams. Great.
Yep.
He hasn't turned it over the last few games. Now, he has 20 turnovers. That was number one in the NFL. What's he been able to do here? Who's the real Sam Darnold? The one from the last few games or the 20 turnover guy?
Well, first of all, I think you're jinxing him, Nate, by bringing all this up. That's a good question. I think if you're the Seahawks and having talked to guys in that locker room, they believe in him. They have a lot of confidence in his ability. Even when he was turning it over in those 2 regular season games against the Rams, you would talk to players in the locker room, and to a man, they'd be like, no, that's our guy. Like, they kind of didn't understand why people outside the locker room questioned Sam's ability to play big and mistake-free in big games. And so I think because of that confidence that other players are giving Sam's kind of risen up to the moment and played at an elite level because he feels like, players believe that he can get it done. And certainly he showed that in the 2 postseason games. But you're right, Super Bowl's a different animal. A lot of people shrink under the intense pressure that, you face and being in a game like that with all the eyes on you. So I'm interested to see how he's going to play in this big game, along with the fact that he's playing against a Mike Vrabel defense. And I think schematically they're going to show him different things, and I'm interested to see how he reacts to that.
Do you think the Patriots are underestimated? Odds say Seahawks by 4.5. Everybody's going Seahawks. Are the Patriots underestimated? They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. I just watched them beat my Broncos. I thought the Broncos could have had them. That's neither here nor there. Are they underestimated?
Yeah, I think so. Just in being in Radio Row and talking to a number of different league sources, everybody's picking the Seahawks here. Either they're picking the Seahawks to win by a little or by a lot. Maybe a couple people are picking the Patriots to sneak by with a win. Nobody's picking the Patriots to win big. And I think it's because when you look at the 2 rosters, there's just clearly more talent on Seattle's side versus New England. That said, I think the equalizer for me is Vrabel. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. I think he does a great job with game management and taking advantage of kind of the edges of the game. So, again, it wouldn't surprise me if the Patriots won, but, for me, I would be picking the Seahawks just because I think there's more paths to victory for Seattle than there is for New England.
I want to ask you about the Seahawks and Patriots. You think the Seahawks have some staying power? Do you think the Patriots do too moving forward?
Yeah, and I think it's because of 2 things. I think it's the coach, and I think it's the quarterback. I think this quarterback is legit. He's only in his early 20s. He's going to continue to get better. He's already playing at an MVP level. That's one of the things that in talking to the New England players over the last couple of days, they really gave Josh McDaniels a lot of credit for May's ascension during the season, his ability to get the most out of him and put him in good positions to be successful. The one thing they have to do, though, is they have to protect him better. He was one of the most stacked quarterbacks in the league, got hit a lot. If that continues to happen, you could be looking at, the situation with Justin Herbert where, he's been injured a lot because they haven't done a good job of protecting Herbert with the Chargers.
A couple of side stories out in the Super Bowl, Eric. The Players Association said today not much appetite for an 18th game. That feels like that's where the NFL is going to go. Do you think we ultimately get there and the players just roll with it?
Yeah, I think we're talking about negotiation here, and they had to kind of push back a little bit because before they got a new executive director, the previous one had basically said it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to 18 games, and so I think the NFLPA kind of lost some negotiation power and are trying to kind of get that back. So that's kind of how I read that.
I want to get your read, and Roger Goodell more international games, and some people think you're going to get a lot more moving forward. He says the players like the international games. Is that right?
No, that's wrong. Talking to the players. They do not like the international games, but they also understand that, one of the initiatives of the league is to expand globally, to have more eyeballs. And so, it's clearly a business initiative of the league to get out there. And it makes more sense, to generate more revenue, you have to expand globally. But I know that players do not like traveling internationally and playing games, and because of the rest factor and all of that.
Eric Williams on tonight from Santa Clara. He's ready for the Super Bowl. Find him at foxsports.com. His piece up on John Schneider with the interview and how the Seahawks built another Super Bowl contender. Eric, good to have you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me, Nate. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Eric Williams tonight. Follow him at foxsports.com. National NFL writer live from the Super Bowl. Good stuff. We'll try and check in with a live reporter every day this week. We'll do our best. We had a live report from the Seahawks beat writer Greg Bell yesterday, and now national NFL writer Eric Williams today. Mike Golick Jr. heading out to the Super Bowl later this week, so good stuff. We got you covered. We got our own Super Bowl radio row right here on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Coming right back. I want to jump into this segment. I've been wanting to do this the last couple of days. So let's get into what you think politicians should offer up for parents that have their kids in youth sports. So there's 2 Republican legislators in Pennsylvania who've offered up an idea to help parents that have kids in youth sports. Let's discuss next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show.
There's nothing like it. Not for hundreds of miles in any direction. A gathering space for all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds. To share, to revel, to stand together and celebrate life's greatest moments.
We are number one, so you can always be their number one. Black Hills Surgical Hospital and Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center. The number one hospital in the nation for major orthopedic surgery.
What do you call a place that's one of Deadwood's largest casinos, but is it really a casino? Because you can't decide, should I play or eat or wait, there's a liquor-infused ice cream bar? I mean, you're playing craps one minute and the next you're looking at a charcuterie board? What even is that? Never mind the gunfight outside, you don't have time for that. You've got espressos to down and games to bet on and a pub with 48 whiskeys? What do you even call a place like that?
I didn't know anything about radon. I didn't know it's a gas you can't see or smell. I didn't know it's radioactive from decaying uranium deep underground. It can seep through cracks in your foundation and collect in your house. 1 in 15 homes have high levels, and you don't know if yours is one of them unless you have your home tested. And radon? Well, radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in America. I wish I would have known that.
Call Blackburn Foundation Repair for radon testing and mitigation.
There are 1 billion credit card transactions around the world every day. That's 11,698 swipes a second. It's easy to forget that behind each one, there's a person, a family, a dream, a connection being made. The Black Hills Federal Credit Union Visa. for members who want to make the most of every transaction.
One. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show, also streaming right now on X. Follow us and watch the show live at Nate Brown Show.
All right, I hope your day is over. You're out of work, right? You're off and into your Tuesday night. On the Nate Brown Show, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, we're here for you. Thanks for being here for us. We appreciate you. Fox Sports Radio, KWSN, Fox Sports Sioux Falls, and Fox Sports Rapid City. The Nate Brown Show, powered by Black Hills Federal Credit Union, my family's banking partner. I don't just tell you about these guys. I experience them every day. The right choice for us, whether it's personal loans, great rates on vehicle loans. They offer the best in technology. And personal connections helped me and my wife. We had to get some new debit cards moves done right here the same day. Go to BHFCU.com. 18 locations across South Dakota from the Black Hills to Sioux Falls. BHFCU.com. Start there. Become a member. Take advantage of all the benefits at Black Hills Federal Credit Union. All right, let's have an interesting discussion here. I thought this was really interesting. I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen anytime soon in South Dakota, but I do think it is interesting. So all these legislatures are in session right now across the country, and we're always kind of keeping a track on who's doing sports stuff. I always find it interesting when legislators are like, "Oh, we're gonna do this when it comes to sports. We're gonna take over high school sports." All that stuff that happens. So this is out of Pennsylvania. There's a state senator and a state representative. These two guys have teamed up on new legislation for Pennsylvanians. And I am going to say, what if we did this in South Dakota? So let me just ask you if you'd like to chime in on this. So here's the legislation from these two in Pennsylvania. They want to provide tax credits for Pennsylvanians who have their kids in youth sports. People are going to go, huh? The legislators want a tax credit for youth sports families where parents could get a tax credit up to $3,000 to offset costs and qualifying expenses for youth sports. So some of the youth sports parents are listening right now. Hey, sign me up. I'm in. And then the non-youth sports parents are really mad. Can you imagine how ticked off some of these people would be? The people that don't like sports. I mean, people get mad about stuff today so easily. I mean, there's some people that don't want anything. They don't want any change. They don't want anything. I mean, they want nothing. They'll say no to everything. Can you imagine here in South Dakota if somebody came up with legislation to give subsidies to me, you, as a youth sports parent? We get $3,000 to help with costs. I think people would lose their mind. Now, nonetheless, they say their legislation is designed to make participation in physical activities more accessible and to help working families balance finances with their desire to keep their kids in healthy events. So that's what they're thinking about. The senator in Pennsylvania who put this forward in the state Senate said, this is about helping families prioritize health. We're encouraging healthier lifestyles and their investments in long-term wellness of our communities. So the representative who signed on to this as well said it's very important. Exercise and youth sports teach discipline, teamwork, and confidence, making it easier for families to afford these opportunities. We're helping kids build lifelong healthy habits. So what say you if what if they put this legislation in Pierre? What if they put it out in Pierre? By the way, I don't know where this is going to go in Pennsylvania. I guess we shall see. They also added onto this, if you have a gym membership, you'd get $1,000 a year. So that would help you pay for your gym membership. So they're trying to see this as a health thing. Like, Get a gym membership. We'll give you a $1,000 tax credit. If your kids are in youth sports for qualifying expenses, we'll help you out there. For your family, $3,000. So I kind of joke about it because I think people would just lose their minds on this. But is this more popular than you think? Would this be more popular than you think? This is being talked about in Pennsylvania right now. Let's see here. I threw it out to my Twitter audience because I wanted to see what people would say if this was done in South Dakota. 2 Republican legislators from Pennsylvania have introduced tax credits for families that have kids in youth sports programs. Do you think this would fly in South Dakota? What do you think the audience chimed in on here on Twitter on the Nate Brown Show? 65% say, no way, not a good use of tax money. 35% say, yes, good to have kids start healthy habits. So I have a sports following on Twitter, and 65% of the people said not a good use of tax money. All right. Here's how I think. Here's why I think people are against it. They think you having your kids in youth sports is your choice, and then they think youth sports is a conspiracy anyway. So they think it's like the youth sports shouldn't cost all this money, and it's a racket anyway. That's where I think you're going to get pushback. These guys in Pennsylvania, 2 Republican legislators, a state senator and a state representative, say tax credits for families that have kids in youth sports. I'd take it. I'd take it. Everybody says, here's the other part of this. We always are against stuff unless it's for me. You guys know how that goes. Just watch everybody. Everybody that complains about tax subsidies and subsidies for this group and that group and this group. And then somebody gets a benefit from the government for me, and they say, well, I mean, I'll take it. I mean, it's fine for me, but not for you, right? That's how we always like playing that game. Good luck to them. Kids in youth sports, families going to get $3,000 tax credits in Pennsylvania. That's the bill. I'm going to see where that's at. We'll get an update on that Pennsylvania bill and see how far it's going to go. My thought is it's going to get voted down. That's my thought. We'll see. Coming right back with who's hot and who's not. This is a rough story from the upcoming Olympics. I mean, it is rough. Coming up.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
It seems like the cost of everything is going up, so it's nice to save a little dough when you can, especially for something you love to eat every day. Before I go grocery shopping, I print out a coupon for $1 off any Country Hearth, Village Hearth, or Artisan Hearth bread product. My favorite is Dakota Style 12 grain. My wife's breakfast go-to is a toasted Village Hearth English muffin. We can save $1 on each. Go to countryhearthbreads.com/coupons and print 1 or 2 out before your next shopping trip. And don't forget, Country Hearth, Village Hearth, and Artisan Hearth bread products are baked locally and delivered fresh daily.
Does your home have a crawl space? When cold weather arrives, that can mean cold floors, frozen pipes, and higher energy bills. Protect your family and keep the cold air out this winter with expert crawl space sealing by Blackburn Basement Systems. Sealing keeps your crawl space clean, protects pipes, and insulates your home so floors are warmer and energy bills are lower. A sealed crawl space means a nicer home. Don't wait. Call Blackburn Basement Systems today.
It's rodeo time in Rapid City, and Mr. Liquor is where you'll find the official spirit of the PRCA. Save $13 off the 175-liter bottle of Pendleton whiskey, now just $36.99. Or save $5 off the 750 bottle, now only $19.99. No matter what you're shopping for when it comes to spirits, wines, or cold beer, Mr. Liquor has it. So let her buck and ride on into Mr. Liquor today. Off Catron next to Walmart or on the corner of West Chicago and Sturgis Road in Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. 27 tonight under mainly clear skies, northwest winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. 54 tomorrow, lots of sunshine. Partly cloudy tomorrow night, lows dip down to about 40. Bright sunshine and dry Thursday and Friday, upper 60s, Thursday, upper 50s by Friday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 40 degrees.
Great news. I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Hi, this is Dr. Dan Jensen at Physio. We want to be your trusted partner for physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab. As the official strength and conditioning partners for Stevens, Central, Douglas, and the Rapid City Rush, our team at Physio is building the best athletes in the Black Hills. If you have an athlete in the family, we offer long-term athlete development at affordable prices for middle and high school students. We also have the only board-certified sports PT in Rapid City. At our brand new facility, Physio is ready to help you perform at your best. One-on-one physical therapy, athlete development, and sports rehab, all at one place. Get started at bhphysio.com.
Ready to be part of something big? Meet the Rapid City Sports Commission, the powerhouse behind sports in Rapid City. The commission focuses on bringing regional and national tournaments, supporting homegrown events, and creating opportunities for our kids. But it's not just games, it's a win-win for all of us. Youth sports fuel our economy. Hosting events in Rapid City means out-of-town families shop, dine, and stay with us, which boosts sales tax revenues too. To get in on the action, visit rcsportscommission.com, where we're all about the hustle.
From high school to college to the pros, from Rapid City to Sioux Falls, the Nate Brown Show is South Dakota's sports talk.
All right, welcome back in. Fun night tonight. Thanks for being here. We went out to the Super Bowl with Eric Williams, Fox Sports. Mike Golick Jr. was on tonight. Mike Hendrickson checked in, South Dakota sports broadcaster from Sioux Falls. Busy show tonight. Go to the Nate Brown Show podcast if you missed parts of the show. Any segments you want to hear, search the Nate Brown Show wherever you get your podcast. Then you've got us right there on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. Listener text coming in on those tax credits for youth sports families, the idea out of Pennsylvania. Listener text, that tax credit is hilarious. So kids that would hate sports will be forced to play, so parents will take advantage of the tax credit. Yeah, it's like, Jimmy, get out there. We got $3,000 on this. I don't want to play. Oh, get out there. I need some money. All right, good point. Good point. In our Who's Hot and Who's Not, let's do that right now. It's brought to you by the Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet. Location in Brandon's great. Also East 10th Street, Sioux Falls. Stop by the Pizza Ranch, home of everyone's favorite buffet. In my Who's Hot category, I'm going to go with these FCS numbers that just came out. So the average crowd size was reported for football this year. Number one FCS average crowd, Jackson State. Jackson State, you know, where Dion was and Shedeur, 29,000 fans on average. Montana, the Grizz came in number 2, 25,000 fans on average. Where's South Dakota State? Coming in at number 8, the Jacks averaged 15,915 this year at their home games, beating out North Dakota State, who comes in number 10. The Jacks, more fans than the Bison this year in football. And our Pizza Ranch, Who's Not tonight? Well, I can't believe this. I mean, I cannot believe this. Lindsey Vaughn, downhill skier, right? Famous skier. She just crashed. She ruptured her ACL, tore her meniscus. Her knee is obliterated. She just announced today she's still going to do the Olympics. She's going to do the Olympics with a torn ACL and a torn meniscus. Huh? I mean, it's like, you're going to do this? I mean, I commend the spirit, but the wheel spinning, the hamster's asleep or what, Lindsay? I mean, take it easy. I mean, you're going to be able to walk after this? Unreal. Thanks for listening to the Nate Brown Show. We're back tomorrow. See ya.
At Dakota Bank, we're more than just a place to bank. We're your neighbors. From everyday bank